Hola. And that's how far my Spanish goes. I can't speak more than that, but I will try to include some Spanish words that I've learned over the years that my friends has taught me. Now, thank you for being here for today, because what I'm going to go through over the next few minutes is looking at where we are today, but also where we're likely to be in the next 10 years when it comes to this digital technology world, and looking at some of the benefits, but also some of the challenges that we're likely to face. Now, I've only worked online. I've only worked in this digital space since 2001 when I first graduated university. And my first job was I used to moderate chat rooms and forums for the television show Pop Idol and for Liverpool Football Club. I'll be honest, I don't support Liverpool, by the way. They paid well. I went with the money, if I'm being honest. But in 2001, the only way as a business could speak to the end consumer, and vice versa, was via chat rooms and forums and email. Move forward a number of years, and you see numerous ways in which we can communicate. Now, over the years, the 22, 23 years I've been working in this space, there's been many words that people have asked me, many things that I've heard. And one of the words that I hear a lot is change. I've heard this throughout my whole career, change. Things are constantly changing. And I can honestly say, from what I've seen, nothing has changed professionally. And that includes what happened with COVID. So what do I mean by that exactly? As a business, you still have something to sell, which is going to be your products and services. You're still going to have to sell it somewhere, which is going to be online or offline. And you still have to sell it to someone, which is going to be your end consumer. That hasn't changed. And as long as there's the internet, and as long as there's your business, and as long as there's businesses, or organizations, whether you're working for a charity, whether you're working for the government, whether you're working in the B2B or B2C space, these will still be the same. But what do people mean when they do say change, or things are constantly evolving? If I simplified everything, you could put it down to two things that control the whole digital world right now. And when I say the whole digital world, essentially what affects you on a day-to-day basis. The first of these things, surprise, surprise, is technology. The amount of technology that's around that's around now compared to when I was 23 years ago is vast. Many different ways, many different types of technologies, and we've come a long way from a typewriter. If you look at some research in the Spanish market, these are just different types of devices that people own over the years. You've got any kind of mobile phone. You've got smartphones, so like your iPhone or your Android. You've got feature phones. Feature phones, essentially phones that cannot connect to the internet. So you just make it for phone calls. Got laptops, you've got tablet devices, you've got games consoles like PlayStation, you've got your smartwatches, you've got smart TVs, so connecting to the internet via television. You've got smart home devices, so the likes of Alexa, Siri, some people's got their refrigerator connected to the internet. And then you've got virtual reality devices as well. Out of these 10, by a show of hands, who has pretty much all of these? Who has 10? Anyone has 9? By a show of hands? 8? Okay, cool. A couple of people with 8. Who's got 7? 6? 5? 4? 3? 2? Okay, and 1. Okay. What you're going to find is that the more and more we go into the future, so obviously we're looking at the last 10 years of Forbes, in the next 10 years, there's going to be more devices. And the number that you have connected will probably increase. Because what happens is there's always an evolution. And if you look at the evolution of technology compared to the evolution of humans, it looks something like this. People say the robots are going to take over. The machines are going to take over. I actually don't think that. I think, if anything, we'll be more cyborgs. So half human, half machine. And actually, looking at this diagram, we are here. As humans, we are there. And that robot is not a robot. That little robot there is your phone. Because it doesn't matter what country I go to, every country is addicted to their phone. Everyone is addicted to their phone. You know, I don't know if you've ever left home without your phone. It feels like you've lost an arm. You know, it's that connection. That's why I say we're kind of more cyborgs than anything. But regardless of the device, let's look at some of the things that's very popular right now and is likely to be over the next 10 years. I cannot start without talking about AI. This is something that over the last, especially the last 6 months, more and more people are talking about the use of AI. And there's different types of AIs. We've got predictive AI, which is very much about data and guessing data. You've got the likes of large language models, which is more of the innovation behind it. But the most popular one right now is generative AI. That's the one that everyone's pretty much knows about. And with generative AI, the most popular platform is ChatGPT. So just by a show of hands, who here has used ChatGPT? Has anyone used ChatGPT? Okay. So I would say this about 70% of us. There is a saying in this generative AI world, and they say AI is going to replace your, AI will not replace your job. A lot of people think it will, but AI will not replace your job. People who use AI will replace your job. One of the things I say to people now is get used or start using AI. Start playing around with these tools. Because I've been around technology and digital since the beginning of most things. I've seen the introduction to smartphones. I've seen the introduction to broadband and Wi-Fi. I've seen the introduction to social media. I've seen the introduction to advertising as we know it. And I have never seen anything as impactful as AI. Never. And that is including everything that I've seen. So it's something I would highly recommend, because if we don't do it now, it's coming. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. Now, there's many different things you can do. So ChatGPT is fantastic because you can use it especially for text, but also other things as well. There are applications out there that you can create images and videos. But for me, the area that I'm quite excited about is languages. Because what you can do now with some of these tools is you can take your organization, and let's say, for example, it's very local, i.e. very much in Spain. With some of these tools, you can turn it global in a few clicks. So what I'm going to show you now, I'm going to show you a video of me speaking English. So if you've got a headset on, you don't necessarily need it now, because what I'm going to show you is a video of me speaking English and then going into Spanish. And then me speaking Japanese. I can barely speak English, let alone Spanish and Japanese. But you're going to see some of the technologies that you can do for free right now. A decade has passed since Forbes landed in Spain. During this time, Forbes has become an influential and benchmark brand within the economic, business, and lifestyle media. In 2023, and on the occasion of our 10th anniversary in Spain, we will tour 10 Spanish cities in a call for global conversation, looking back with an eye on the closeness of the present and excited of the expectations of the future. Ha pasado una década desde que Forbes llegó a España.
Forbes es una marca influyente y de referencia en los medios económicos, empresariales y de estilo de vida. En 2023, en nuestro 10º aniversario en España, recorreremos 10 ciudades en busca de una conversación global, mirando hacia atrás con un ojo en el presente cercano y emocionados por el futuro. それから10年が経ちました。フォブスは経済、ビジネス、ライフスタイルメディアで営業力のあるブランドとなり、基準です。2023年、スペインでの10周年を記念して、グローバルな対話を呼びかけるために、スペインの10都市を巡回します。現在の僅差を振り返りながら、未来の期待に胸を凝らせています。
And that's just one of the things. It's not dubbing. So dubbing, I'm sure you've watched old kung fu films where they'll be speaking in whatever language and then it's got the dubbing in on top. It's very much what happened here was changing the mouth and the expressions as well as the sounds. So AI is definitely going to be something that I would highly recommend looking into. Another area are the realities, whether it be virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality. I'm sure you've heard of the metaverse. That was something that was quite popular a few months ago. Not as people don't talk about it as much. But the concept is very interesting because Web 1.0 was all about, I'm here, I'm on my laptop typing. Web 2.0 was all about, I'm taking the internet with me. Web 3.0 is I'm now in the internet. And this is where the excitement comes, especially once you start adding some of the other, for example, AI technology as well. There's many things you can do in this space. One of the things I posted on LinkedIn last week. I'm just going to show you again another video of some of the things that you can do. And then I'm going to explain the feedback I got from it.
Okay, looking for some family snacks. Ooh, Cheez-Its Originals. I used to eat these all the time. Can we do a quick scan? Okay. All right, so, 4 out of 100. That is, that's a pretty bad score. Why is that?
The Cheez-Its received a low score primarily because they contain several additives.
And what are the additives?
The Cheez-Its contain an additive called tertiary butyl hydroquinone used to prolong the shelf life.
Is there any benefits to this?
It's always a good idea to consume foods with minimal additives.
Well, then I won't be consuming this ever again. Is there anything similar that's healthier?
Whole grain crackers, they are located on aisle 12.
Okay, cool. Can you navigate to it?
I'll help navigate you there shortly. Does that fit your needs?
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
So the whole point is saying that shopping could potentially change. You could be in Mercadona or Aldi or wherever it may be, and it's changing the way we shop. Now, when I posted this, I had some people say, this is amazing, this is really great, this is really interesting, some of the things that we can do. But then I had a lot of other people saying, this is not good. This is a bit of a novelty. It's a bit of a gimmick. And that there is the challenge that we're going to have moving forward when it comes to technology. Because there's a thin line between this is genius, this is really helpful, versus this is more of what we call in England a gimmick. So it's a novelty, it's interesting, but it's not really going to work. It all goes down to innovation. When it comes to the innovation, when it comes to what we're doing in this space, it's very important to understand, and this is for everyone who works in technology, that the technology that you create, success doesn't rely on its amazing technology. When I left working at Liverpool, I worked at the BBC for 5 years, worked in radio. And at the time, if you wanted to listen to digital radio, which is where I worked for one of the stations, you had to listen to it on a DAB radio. By a show of hands, who has a DAB radio? No one. Just like I thought. Because even though we spent a lot of money on this whole DAB radio, it wasn't convenient for people. People actually prefer just listening to it on the internet. And what you get with a lot of technology is that people will create technology thinking, oh, this is going to be handy, but they forget the second part of what affects us on a day-to-day basis. So I said that the first part was technology. The second thing is people's behavior. For technology to work and for technology to be picked upon and for technology to be used, it's really important to understand that technology and behavior go hand in hand. If you think about it, whether it's the general public, a lot of technology that's come out might seem great on paper, but it's not worked. So I don't know if anyone remembers Google Glasses. So Google Glasses, if you didn't know, it was very much like that shopping video where you put some glasses on, but it wasn't actual glasses. It looked like glasses, but it was without the lens. So it looked a bit weird. And if you had glasses, you had to put it on top of the glasses as well. Technically, in theory, it sounds great, but it didn't work for a number of reasons. And one of them was you look like an idiot wearing it. You know, you look silly wearing it. So forgetting the whole behavior side. The other thing as well, you know, going to a supermarket, looking at food, saying what's good, what's bad, using glasses that I can look at every single one of you and it kind of tells me what your LinkedIn profile is and things like that. The general public do not see this as, this is exciting. They see this as, this is scary. So it's understanding the behavior. If we look at it from a work point of view, technology has been around, and mixed reality and augmented reality, virtual reality, it's not new. It's been around for numerous years. So it's not something that's new. But why do certain things work? Why do certain things not work? From a work point of view, we've been talking about digital transformation for a number of years. It wasn't the amount of billions that's been invested in technology that's the reason why people started adapting to digital transformation at work. It wasn't because of how great the technology was. It was a behavior trait that made people transform. And that was to do with COVID. COVID is the reason why we ended up working at home. So because of that, we ended up having to adapt Zoom and Teams and a lot of the technology. That was the digital transformation. It was a behavior trait, not necessarily the technology. So behavior and technology, they really go hand in hand. If you want to have success moving forward over the next 10 years, we really need to kind of look at and consider both of them. So again, if we look at some of the main reasons for using the internet here in Spain, here's, according to We Are Social and Meltwater, two very much data-driven companies, here are some of the reasons why, some of the most popular reasons why. Finding information, keeping up to date with news and events, researching things that you do, watching TV shows. Again, understand the behavior. If you're a company, if you're working in technology, innovation, understand the reason why people are likely to adapt your technology or adopt your technology. So, let's look at some other things within technology or within behavior that is really important to know. One of them is convenience. For me, this is the silent killer for most organizations and why they don't succeed. If you look at the most popular organizations in the world right now, especially over the last 10 years, Amazon, Deliveroo, Uber, Facebook, Apple, what they've all got in common is not technology. What they've all got in common is convenience. How can I make the end user's life more convenient? For example, Netflix. Raise your hands if you have Netflix. And you can raise it if you're borrowing someone's password as well, that's fine. Okay, so that's most of us in the room. I don't know if this happens in Spain, but I know in the UK, every film I type in Netflix is never on Netflix. I don't know if it happens here a lot. It's always similar titles to what you actually want to watch. But when you think about it, when you buy Netflix every month, subscribe to Netflix, you're not really paying for the content. You're paying for the convenience to have access to all of this content whenever you want. Same as Spotify. You know, I worked in the music industry for 10 years. I've not paid for music since the 90s when someone said, there's a site called Napster and you can get free music. I've not paid for music pretty much since then. But I pay for Spotify. But I'm not paying for music. I'm paying for the convenience to have access to music at my fingertips whenever I want. Convenience is something that we do, our behavior trait is something that we do on a day-to-day basis. When we sign up to all of these sites, when we sign up to all of this technology and giving away our data, essentially we're saying, here's my data, make my life more convenient. So convenience is a huge, huge behavior trait that a lot of organizations seem to miss. Another thing that happened recently, going back to ChatGPT, if you look at ChatGPT, it's on Google Trends in Spain over the past 30 days. I looked at the trend for ChatGPT Alternativas, and that essentially is the reason why there's a huge ups is because over the last 30 days, there's been a surge in people signing up to ChatGPT for the subscription one, so ChatGPT 4, to the point where they had to stop people signing up. And because there were so many people on it, it kept on crashing. So what was happening, it was inconvenient for people, so they started Googling alternatives and looked for the likes of Perplexity and Claude and Bard, and some of the other ones that you can use that do pretty much the same thing. Why? Because of convenience. Conveniencia. Is that correct? Conveniencia. Okay, brilliant. So let's look at sales and marketing, you know, how that's changed. Question. What digital platform has been the #1 marketing trend in 2023 for Spain? So when I say trend, it's based on user growth. What do you think it is? What marketing platform? Anyone want to have a guess? Meta? So within that, Facebook and Instagram? WhatsApp? Yeah, all the same company. It actually was TikTok. Now, a lot of people will say TikTok is for kids. Facebook was for kids. Facebook, when it first started, was only available to students. They were all for kids when they start. But eventually, the behavior changes and people who are older than teenagers get on them. People go to where people are. And sometimes when it comes to technology, we always looking at what's next. What's going to be the next thing? But what's going to be popular in 5 years' time, I can pretty much guarantee, is here now. It's not going to be, it might not be popular right now, but it's going to be here now. So sometimes we tend to look at what's next and ignore what's here now. And now is pretty much where the success lies. So one of the key things when we look at the future, looking at future trends, look at what's popular now. Because generative AI was around 5 years ago. You know, a lot of these sites were around a few years ago, and something happened, usually a behavior change, and that's why they grew all of a sudden. It feels like they're just here overnight, but they've not been. TikTok, I don't know if anyone knows the history of TikTok, but 5 years ago, I was using a site called Musical.ly, which is a karaoke site, which eventually became TikTok. So always be looking at the now as well. Anyone works in sales, or marketing, you've probably seen a funnel that looks like this. A typical sales funnel. You have an event here, and you invite thousands of people, and then hopefully out of those 1,000 people, you get 100 people that buy. Something like that. We've seen this for years, for decades. And this is what it used to look like. Because now, it looks something like this. You still have the same event here. You still have invite 1,000 people here. But how people hear about it now is going to be down to technology. So, for example, this is being live streamed. People don't necessarily have to be here. They can actually enter the funnel because they're watching a live stream. A hashtag. Somebody saw the hashtag in the comforts of their own home or office. Somebody seen somebody post something at the gala event yesterday. Oh, let me find out more about this. So how you enter the funnel now differs. And what you've got that comes out the other side are two types of things. You've got buyers and contributors. A buyer, they buy your product or service. A contributor may not buy your product or service, but they will happily tell 1,000 of their friends, and getting access to 1,000 friends, 1,000 amigos nowadays is not that difficult because of social media. And at those 1,000 friends, they might have 10, 11, 12 that enter the funnel that eventually becomes either a buyer or contributor. Every organization moving forward needs both. Buyers, yes, they pay the bills. But contributors help with those soft metrics that every business needs to survive in this digital world. And that's things like perception, trust, authenticity. All of these things that really will make and break a brand in today's digital world. Another question. What percentage of Spanish consumers are less willing to buy or use a product or service if companies use their personal data? What percentage do you think? 20? Sorry? Amazon? No, what percentage? What numbers? Anyone higher than 20%? Around 20%, everyone? Higher? What do you think, roughly? Take a guess. 50%? Anyone higher than 50? In between? Yeah, so you stay on the fence between about 35%. The answer is 66%. And I'm sure you have it here, a lot of people talking about data, big data, personal data. And data is very, very important, and it's going to dictate a lot of what happens in the future. And when we're at work, when we're in the business environment, getting all of this data to help us in a work point of view sounds great. We can create content that can target women who live in Javier, who are 65 years old, that loves, I don't know, their favorite television show, whatever it may be, and we can target those women. But when we're at home and we're playing with our little dog, and the dog is chewing on your Nike shoes, and you say, "Get off my Nike shoes," and then for the next 5 days, Nike is advertising to you on Instagram. All of a sudden it becomes, well, hold on a minute, I don't like what's happening here. And there's a thin line between when it comes to data on what works for us at work, but actually don't do it to me at home. This is going to be another huge, huge trend, and another because of behavior that's going to affect the way things work when it comes to data. There's going to be big changes over the next 5 years with companies because of certain laws that's passing, but also just the general public is starting to get a bit more smart. They're starting to understand what can happen with data and what they're essentially giving away. So the last thing I just want to talk about before we go to some questions is understanding the audience. Who here remembers MySpace? The website MySpace. Does anyone remember MySpace? No? MySpace, if you don't know, was the #1 social media site before Facebook. MySpace was the site that started this whole Web 2.0 social media. It was the biggest site at one point in the world. It was known for its music and entertainment, but it became a bigger site than Google between 2006, 2007. Very, very popular site. And when I left the BBC, I was fortunate enough to be part of the team to launch MySpace in the UK. So to give you some idea, Facebook was only available to students at that time. So that kind of gives you an idea. And YouTube was, before Google had bought YouTube, 90% of YouTube's traffic was because of MySpace. Now, MySpace, as I said, when I joined, there was about 20 to 30 million people on the site, and within a year, there was over 260 million people on the site. It really is the equivalent today of about 2 billion people on a site. That's what it's kind of like if you had to put it in proportion. So it grew quickly, but a year later, it lost 200 million. So within 2 years, it went from this to this to this. And it became a case study. I go pretty much all over the world, and people are asking me, what happened? It's the same as if, imagine how big Instagram is here today. This time next year, no one's on it. It literally is, that's how fast it dropped. And a lot of people say to me, what happened? And one of the things I can say, there's many different factors, but one of the main factors was it didn't really understand its audience based on a research project. We commissioned some research to find out about our end users. What do they like? What do they don't like? And it took 6 months. So it took 6 months to get the information back. The information back said what people wanted to do was they wanted to express themselves more. So just like on Instagram or Twitter or any of the sites that you're on, you've got your profile. On MySpace, you could change the look and feel of it. So it almost looked like a website. So you were literally creating websites. And you can play music from your favorite artist, and it would play, and you can put videos and embed videos. And it came out that that's what people wanted to do more. But in those 6 months where we were waiting on a result, Facebook came out. And I don't know if anyone remembers Facebook around about 2008, 2009, where it was just the news feed. There was no advertising, there was no apps. It was just literally the news feed, which was completely opposite to here, express yourselves more. As a company, we went with the information and the data and ignored what the users were doing. Because people actually didn't want to express themselves more. They wanted simplicity. And that's essentially one of the reasons why MySpace completely fell off the market. So it was really important to understand the users in this world. To conclude, and to summarize what I've said today, nothing has changed. The fundamental things of the internet has not changed. You still need something to sell, somewhere to sell it, and someone to sell it to. That has not changed. Regardless of what happens over the next 10 years, they will still be the same. But the two things that we need to be aware of and understand that they go hand in hand is understanding technology, but also people's behavior. Because if we do one without the other, it's very, very difficult to see success. And almost every single thing that's been successful is because both of them have worked together. Okay? So that's me. We've got 5 minutes left. So I don't know if there's any questions, if anyone's got any questions. Any questions? Sorry? Sorry, Connie. The technology of the future, as I said, it's here today. So when we look at, let's say, the next 5 years, To be honest, the main thing will be AI. That's the main thing. Because so much money is being pumped into AI from every single big company. Meta's a lot of money from there. Amazon's put in, like, they just invested over 4 billion into one called Anthropic or something like that, something similar to that. But they've invested a lot of money there. You have Apple that's about to. Apple's been quiet, which means they're about to go big very, very soon. So if I had to put my money on where the future is going to be, if there was one type of technology, it's going to be in the AI space. Too much money's gone into it. The other thing as well that's going to happen with AI, 2008 was the social media elections. When Obama won in America, it was all about Twitter and social media. 2016 was the data elections. And this is what you saw, especially happened in the UK, and hence why England is not in the EU anymore, because of data and the way they manipulated data. And that happened in America as well. Next year in the UK and America is going to be the AI elections. And we're already seeing deep fakes. So does everyone know what I mean by deep fakes? Yep. So we're already seeing deep fakes when it comes to the election. You see how easy it was for me to just go from one language to another? You can do that with any voice. You can do that with voices. You can get, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo to say whatever he wants about how great Toledo or FC Toledo is. Oh, I'm about to sign for that. You can manipulate that and do that now. So the next elections, you in Spain, you had obviously your general elections in the summer, and it won't be affected. The AI, it won't affect you because you've had your elections. But next year is going to be like, it's going to affect, like, I'm already seeing dirty games. So if it was the future, it will pretty much be AI, but then AI plugged into everything else. So AI in health care, AI in manufacturing, AI in communications and technology, AI in many different things.
Do you feel that there's going to be a way to stop that manipulation?
Is there a way to stop the manipulation of like deepfakes, etc.?
And stuff like singers,
Yeah.
like not liking their music, their voices,
Yeah.
to generate songs that are like a bit dumb.
Sure. So essentially, what was your name, sorry? Valentina said about, you can take a singer's voice or a popular singer's voice and you can write some words or get ChatGPT to come up with a song, and then you can manipulate her voice. And that's been happening. That happened to, is it Bad Bunny? I think it happened to Bad Bunny. It's happened to pretty much like Drake. It's happened to everyone. Beyonce. It's gonna happen. Is there a way to stop it now? Right now, no. I can't think of a way. The only way it can happen is certain regulations. But who's going to regulate the internet? You know, who's going to regulate that? Do you want the government to regulate it? You know, do you want some extremely successful business person? No, because they're going to have it, obviously, how they will make money. There's still issues when it comes to trademarks, when it comes to all of that. And those trademarks and copyrights is from when I was at MySpace. So this is from 2006, and they still haven't sorted a lot of that out. So I personally do not think they're going to sort anything out in the foreseeable future. And as an artist, it's a case of working out ways that they can monetize their celebrity. Because this is not just happening in music, this is happening in many different places. You know, I could be in London and there could be a video here and someone can just AI generate me and I could be at home typing and it can be generated that way. There's many different things that's going to happen in the future. But when it comes to regulation, there are ways to kind of look at. The only thing that I can see happening is, can we slow it down? Because the worry is when we get to AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. Because right now, AI is logical. This means this. it hasn't got emotion. Once it starts bringing in emotion, which is when general intelligence, that's the stuff you see in the films. And it doesn't end well for mankind. But that's the stuff where I think a lot of the regulations will be more concerned about. Any other questions?
Yo tengo. Do you understand Spanish or?
Not really.
No?
No.
Oh my goodness.
yeah. Very
Okay.
little.
I have a question in English. So, how metaverse is going to cope with behavior in the future?
The metaverse.
Yeah.
So the metaverse is an interesting space because the metaverse, over the last few years, a lot of investment went into it. Mark Zuckerberg really kind of changed the whole Facebook look, and they gambled in that. But now, because of AI, it changed everything. So I think what's going to happen with the metaverse goes back to behavior, because even though the headsets are going down, it's still not a normal thing for people to use. Mm-hmm. So until they can understand how people are going to use it, that's where the challenge is. Video games, I think they're going to be, because it happens in a lot of spaces, they're going to be, I think, one of the first ones. So, because a lot of to use it from a work point of view, I still don't think people are there yet to understand. Mm-hmm. Especially because they can say, hey, you're a hologram and I'm a hologram. I'm like, okay, well, we can just have a Zoom chat and see each other. That's still, there's still that behavior change. But I think video games would be one of the first things that when you actually playing within the game and then you kind of understand that, that's when I can see people saying, I can see how it happens for work. Mm-hmm. But I think with the metaverse, because of AI, I think it's going to take a back seat. It'll still be there, but AI, most companies now focusing on that space.
Okay. Andrew, thank you very much.
Cool.
It was very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Muchas
for
gracias.
staying here with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.